Hi everyone, welcome to today's Idea Talk. This is actually the last Idea Talk of this season, and with us we have Alexandre Vaz from Mercedes-Benz IO. And thank you, Alexandre, for being here with us today.
And thank you, Vanessa, for the invitation. It's a pleasure to be
You're
here
welcome.
today.
So before we start, let me just remind everyone that our chat is open for your questions, and Alexandre can answer them at the end of this talk. And we are ready to talking about all the challenges on auto industry and all the concerns about customer experience. So I think we should start by it's inevitable to talk about it, to talk about COVID and the impact that it had on the auto industry. So, Alexandre, I will ask you what changed during this time.
I think the question is what didn't change during this time in the auto industry. As you can imagine, pretty much car sales stopped worldwide. It was not a very specific area. It was pretty much all around. The good news, I think, it's like the car recovery, sales recovery started, at least in China. We can see that after the shutdown, the car sales is almost as is reaching the levels that was reaching last year. So I think that's a good sign for the economy and for our future overall. I think the biggest impact for the car sales is that digital became even more important. I think it was quite obvious that digital was going to be is part of the present, is part of the future of the auto industry, but to have a strong digital capability to sell cars online, to become visible, that is critical going forward. And also very important is how actually you do this online car sales with the dealership, because dealerships are critical to when you want to sell a car. So brands need to put together their digital capabilities with the dealers to be able to, even during a pandemic, don't stop selling and don't stop providing service to the customers.
Because you can't actually make test drives as you did, right? So you have to reinvent yourself.
It's interesting. If you think about the way you buy a car nowadays, so maybe you would go on average 7 times to a dealership before you buy a car. Nowadays, you go 1 to 2 times before you buy a car. So all your decision process, as a customer, you do all your decision online. So you go to the dealer to do the test drive or to buy actually. So all this digital part was already there. What was missing, or what is still starting, is actually completing the process on what the COVID did is like it make it really, we need to close the gap, and actually we need to be able to do everything digitally. Maybe somebody can bring you the car home so you can do the test drive. You can just go online, buy a car, and they will get delivered. There's multiple models needed to be, and then we also have the used cars. That's a different concept. So there's different things that need to be handled from a digital perspective, and that the industry was investing, and maybe it will actually need to invest more in the future.
And do you think that's the way to go? So besides COVID just going away and everything passed, do you think that's the way to grow in the industry?
Yes, there's no other way to do it, to be honest. I think if the customer is already online, we just need to give them what they want. And you need to give them the right tools to actually do all the process online. So that's what we're trying to do.
And what are those needs you're talking about? You mentioned the test drive, the buying or the purchase for itself. What are your customers asking you as a automotive industry to deliver right now?
So it's always tricky to say what customers really want. So we need to measure pretty much everything. We need to have a seamless experience, and because if you think about it, selling a car is not the same as going on Amazon and buying a product, because first you need to configure your car, and let's say you're buying a new car that is in stock, or you want it to build to order. Or do you want, and then if the new car, used car, where do you want to pick it up or you want to get it delivered? Then there's the financial part. So it's not the same as like, okay, it's just, in Portugal, MBWay or whatever, or credit card, and it's done. So there's a lot of complexity that we need to make it in a way that it's very simple to buy a car, and that you have confidence that there will be no issues. If you imagine, the car is probably the second biggest asset a person has. After the house, if you buy your house, the second most valuable usually is the car. So we need to give the confidence to the people that you actually are providing a easy and safe way to buy a car online. What people are asking is always a tricky question, So one thing, and then there's that famous quote from Steve Jobs that says, "People don't know what they want until you show them," and it's quite an interesting way to see. But the other way, a more positive way to see it, is that what people want actually is that you surprise them. So I actually go a little bit. So people know surprise. And surprise can be many things. Because if you think from a different perspective yet, there's another interesting quote in the industry from Henry Ford that says, if you ask people what they want, they will tell you they want a faster horse. So, that doesn't mean that we shouldn't be actually listening. We should, and we need to do it. We should always be trying to understand the data, trying to get the best out of it, and testing it out.
And how do you balance that with your actually business proposition and your brand values? How do you actually balance the priorities? I mean, you can't pursue all your customers' desires. So how do you manage that?
So if you think about what is a customer desire, if you would going to do whatever the customer wants, you would have a free car. It's kind of hard to do, so we need to keep in business. But in the end, if the customer is happy, business will be good. So we need to make sure our customer is happy with the service we are providing. So we need to understand what they want. We need to surprise them with new service that will be pleasant. We need to test new things. So and I think that actually plays very well with our purpose. We like to say that Mercedes-Benz IO was born to transform. So I'm not sure if you know the story of Mercedes-Benz IO, but we were created 3 years ago with the goal to transform the digital marketing and sales of Mercedes-Benz cars worldwide. So everything before was being built by external companies, and there was a lack of putting all together, of having a customer journey, a customer experience end to end. So the goal of Mercedes-Benz IO is to improve the digital experience of Mercedes. Mercedes is the #1 premium car brand in the world, and we need to make sure our digital experience is the premium digital experience #1 in the world, and that's our goal. And so it's already within our purpose to give you the best experience we can. So I think that from your question, that's quite linked one to another.
And what made you create actually Mercedes-Benz IO? I mean, because you're talking about the effects that were expected, but what made you think that would be the way to make Mercedes as a whole company grow? What is the impact?
It's always again, and I think I mentioned a little bit before. It's like if I need to say why do we need to exist, if I have to choose one KPI, it would be the 7 versus 1. So before, people would go 7 times to a dealership before buying a car. Now they go 1 time. This means that you make your decision online. When you go to a dealership to buy a car, you already know what you want. You already know what are the configuration that you want, the engine, the extras. You know pretty much everything. So if our customers are already online, we need to make sure that we are giving the best experience we can. So it was like a non-brainer that something like Mercedes-Benz IO need to exist, to put it all together, and because our customers are already online. There's no other way around it.
So basically what you're saying, if I understand it right, is that you actually understood that the journey of the customer changed, and that's why you find the need to readapt to these new contexts and to new needs actually, and new research or information or more informed customer, for instance. Is it?
Yes, yes, yeah. So the customer journey changed. You're right. We already had the Mercedes offering stuff, but we were not probably doing it in a way that would be compelling enough, to give the best experience we could. So that's why we exist.
You were talking about earlier about the impact of your performance and digital input to sales, but actually you do more than that, if I understand it right, because you actually, and with the pandemic context, you were developing a new application service. I don't know how to talk about it, but for Red Cross to help them with the tests. Can you talk a little bit about that, and how do you find it a way to integrate those projects on your purpose as a company?
Yep. So I think from the beginning it's part of our culture. So we always said that we wanted to have, I think culture, that usually people say culture is strategy at breakfast. I think we go deeper and say culture is strategy. And from the beginning we said that we needed to have a company that does things in their own way. So and a few examples was always like we give our people time to work on side projects, and so 50% of a person's time can be spent outside the product they are working on, and they could choose the social responsibility. I have a personal opinion that we should be focusing on social responsibility on the areas where we have expertise, like UX development, more than go painting a school. Although we have done those type of things, like go plant trees for every employee we hire, but I really like the projects where we are involved in the areas that we have expertise. So during the COVID, for instance, I think you mentioned one is we are involved with the Red Cross to create something called the Triaging Smart. So it's a way for people to understand if they have the symptoms of COVID with a smart one blood test. You go to the Red Cross hospital and you can have all the information in the app. So it was something that we were involved, and we are still involved, because it keeps getting more complex with more features and more stuff. And we also are involved in another project called Dar Voz, Give a Voice, that we put together. We are co-founders, and we are trying to put together to get equipments to give to the people that don't have an equipment to talk with their family, either because they are at an hospital or because they don't have the means. We also, in that part, we also partner with Carris, that has a base around Lisbon, actually giving message from people to the others. So, but the good part of all of this is, first, I think all companies needs to give back to society, and based on their skills. And second, it's a really positive side impact on the company itself, is that the people that participate in these projects actually like it. And they actually, for this one, the Smart Triage in Dar Voz, people work at weekends, at night, because they actually wanted to see it done fast. So, and I think as long as we can offer, we'll continue be doing those type of stuff always. I think it's part of letting people grow, trying new tools, and actually giving back to the society.
Because that actually can bring you all as a team more close to each other, and it's like you are working for others, but actually growing as a team for other purposes and for business purposes in the future, isn't it? That's...
Yeah, and you have a local impact. As we usually work, the stuff we work is for worldwide Mercedes, so you can see the impact in the numbers, but it's so spread you don't really see the impact. Like when you do social responsibility, and I think it's always done at a local level, you could really see the impact on the persons that are surrounding you, and I think that's a really cool stuff to do.
Yeah, and actually this doesn't, as you were saying, it doesn't has actually, or it isn't directly linked with auto industry. So you're doing on your expertise, but outside of your actually industry. And some companies may find it kind of weird, and that's what I wanted to talk to you about. Because how do you find the willing and and you invest on your teams, and you ask for your team's time for something that will not directly convert on your business? So I will ask you if the people and this customer centric that we are talking about is well, it's actually key for the business to result and to grow.
No, it is, because we need to grow our team. So it doesn't. Sometimes what we need is to have good people. That we always like to say that what we do is a lot of software development, UX, and things change very fast. And so we want our people to actually learn very fast. So it's quite actually interesting that when they work in these side projects, they actually also learn from other areas, other technologies. It's also a way for people to grow. And for that, if you actually have some time to work in a different type of product, maybe you bring ideas back. I never saw this as a waste of time. On the contrary, I think it's a really good thing that we can do, and I hope that we can continue doing ever. to be honest, I think there's only benefits to it.
And is it also a customer-centric practice? Like you have to exercise the mindset
within these projects?
Yes. How do you deliver customer experience? Do you need to practice skills? What is the mindset? How do you work your team's mindset to deliver that kind of experience and products as a final result?
Okay. So there's always different ways to think. So we are always a data-based decision company. So we try to measure everything, and to have people to be aware what's the impact of what they're doing in terms of the market. So I think for you to be able to provide a good customer experience, you need at least three good skills. One is to get the data, the second one is to analyze the data, and the third one is to act on that data. So to get the data, you need to have the right setup so you can measure what's going on. Then you need to have a team that is really good at analyzing that data, understanding what, take some conclusions. And then to act on it, you need to have a setup. It could be agile, continuous delivery, that is always changing the product according to what the consumers are asking, what the market is doing, whatever products are coming, So if you have these three types of areas, get the data, analyze the data, and act fast, so you can actually give a good customer experience.
And what projects are you working right now for delivering customer experience, if you can tell?
It's not a secret. So I'm not going to call it projects because they are products more than projects. I'll simplify it. So we have three platforms: one for marketing, one for sales, one for after sales. So in each platform, you have products. So for marketing, you could call it marketing is like the website of Mercedes, if you want. And then you have products inside. You have content, you have test drive booking, you have vehicle search. You have different products that on their own they are a product, but they need to work together. Then you have the commerce platform. So it's where you actually buy stuff. You can buy a car, a new car, a used car. You can buy merchandising. You can buy stuff. So, but within different products. And then you have what we call the after sales. So after you become a customer, we can provide you services online, and then you can actually buy it or actually get support through that platform. So the challenge is each team is focused in the product, and we need to make sure the customer journey is actually integrated and it's seamless, so the customer actually gets what he wants. Because some of them will go through the car configurator, go to the vehicle search, buy a car, whatever. Other ones will actually go to the used cars and don't use the other option. There's many different customer journeys that you can follow. You can do a search, and then you tell, look, if you don't want to wait, we don't have exactly that car, but this is really close enough and it's available to buy. So, all these products, we are divided by products in one end, but we need to make sure that the customer journey, it's seamless and that we are all here to help the customer. Again, if the customer is happy, it's going to be good for the business. I have no doubt about that.
Okay, so thank you so much, Alexandre. We are at the end of our time. It was really quick. Thank you for all your insights. It was a pleasure. And well, I will thank everyone who's watching or listening right now. And just tell you that we'll be back in June with more ID talks. And well, we'll hope to see you there and hope to find you at IDEA as well when we all get back from all this situation and can meet in person. So, Alexandre, thank you again and bye-bye. Stay safe. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.